3, live.
What could be more reprehensible than 2 old farts? 3 old farts featuring Dave and Steven and Greg Shapiro with funny ha-ha.
Well, welcome back. How was you had a month holiday and everything.
The show. Yeah.
Wow.
Good. Thank y'all.
Back for the heat wave.
And exactly. Yes. We were talking about avoiding the rain showers all through the month of July and early August. So, yeah, I'm glad I took the month off in August. I was
very cool.
Deluged.
Very nice. Now, I was listening to our opening of this, and I like the way it's like a question mark. Funny, haha. Like we don't know if it's going to be funny. So for the people listening, you'll find out or watching. There you go. So you were going to tell us some really big news. So can we tell it publicly what this big news is before we get into the show?
I've been
about his chauffeur-driven limo. I think is what he was going to tell us about.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I guess I did have a rental car actually because I
does that qualify?
I was flown out from Amsterdam I was flown out to Indiana to host the opening of a sustainable Dutch chicken farm in
obviously. I mean,
wait, Indiana in the United States, Indiana, or is there another Indiana?
Yeah, you think of Holland, Michigan, or a lot of these old Dutch family farms in the state of Michigan, but apparently in Northeast Indiana, there are quite a few old Dutch family farms as well.
Wow.
And anyway, there's a Dutch chicken farm that now has a partnership deal with the distributors for Kroger, grocery, supermarket.
Very
and
nice.
Anyway, so that was news, and it just seems like now that I have this, since I've been talking more and more about climate-related stuff, climate good news on your show, now I have another gig coming up in Lucerne in Switzerland to talk about circularity in waste management.
Wow.
Okay.
Look at you.
Is that because your waist got slightly larger because you went back to the land of your fathers, to Indiana?
That's I see what you did there with the dad joke.
Got the dad joke in there.
They fed us a lot actually at this gig for the chicken farm, and it's
you look so happy on those photographs. Really.
Oh, you saw?
I mean, yeah, I did. I watch, but I mean. But how can you come on, Greg? I mean, how can you fly to the US from sunny Holland?
His arms are tired.
From sunny Holland to the US to do a gig about sustainability. I mean,
he's not Greta Gutenberg or whatever her name is. He's not a 16-year-old girl who doesn't shave her armpits. Give him a break.
Name starts with a G. Could be drag.
How dare you, sir?
How dare you?
I did not have time to take a catamaran across the Atlantic. I'm sorry to say. I did emit a little carbon. I was going to talk about one of those things today. There's like sustainable aviation, but that'll have to be another day. The wonderful thing about the Dutch chicken farmers is let's see. Well, I might as well start with that one.
Sure.
I try to start with like mitigation, adaptation, and decarbonization.
I like it.
Every episode. I'll start with adaptation this time because the founder of Kipster chicken farms, he was talking about how 4 billion. Humans grow every year enough cereals, grains, seeds to feed 4 billion humans. But we instead give that food to livestock so we can eat them. But some of that livestock, like chickens, they don't need to eat soy or food that humans could eat. So the question was like, what would we feed them? And then there's another problem with food waste in the United States or even in Europe. Every year we let food rot in our refrigerators. We throw out food at the end of a meal. We go to a restaurant and it's disgusting. So whatever, they throw that out. If we could close that loop somehow. So basically the brand new, rocket science technology of this Dutch chicken farm is, what if we took food waste and fed that to chickens?
Oh, wow.
Basically, they've repurposed this technology that's thousands of years old. And
so basically now the children in Beverly Hills won't starve.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to hear that. That's good. Food waste.
Second of all is go ahead.
Do they have a patent on that as well? So that they've now
I'm sure they must.
That technique of recycling old food.
Yeah, it's more difficult than you might think. There are dietitians and veterinarians on hand to figure out exactly what waste food streams they're getting. It's a lot. Apparently, in the EU, it's a lot of baked bakery goods. That go bad, just old bread. But in the US, it seems to be more pasta, and that does maybe have an effect on the chickens. But when you see them being free range or cage free or whatever, that's the second part of how their animal welfare, at least somewhat friendly. And the third big deal of them is the male chicks, the roosters.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in the chickaries, I don't know.
Sure.
They take, female egg, you're good to go. Keep making eggs and meat. And but the male chicks, they're like, you have no use on the farm.
Oh, wow.
Male chicks grow up, they only need one of them for a whole cage, I don't know, a farm full of chickens. And so, male chicks go into the shredder and they become animal feed. Mostly. It's disgusting, but it's true. And so this farm says, well, what if we would let the chickens, the male chickens, the rooster grow up and become tough and stringy and disgusting, but at the end of their life, they will get slaughtered. And the question is, how disgusting is it, this rooster meat? And they made meatballs out of rooster meat at this event, and we unveiled them, and I did a tasting, and they're pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And so I have my smart ass self,
chicken balls.
Of course, is going to
chicken
ball. You got to have chicken
Not
balls. But
chickens.
my smart ass self is when they say they're caged and it's more they're range free and not caged and it's more humane. I don't want to be rude or anything, but at the end of the day, they're going to die. So we can eat them, right? So it's great that you're going to be humane about it, and you're going to make them feel better. But.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably cutting some corners here or glossing over some stuff. But I mean, I think, what did I hear? The average life expectancy of a layer of chicken, like a laying hen, is 90 weeks.
Oh wow! That keeps killing. It's okay.
2 years, yeah. So they're gonna die anyway, I guess. But yeah.
Is that probably out of exhaustion then? 90
they put them to work. Anyway, but
well, congratulations on that.
If you're gonna eat eggs now, you might as well eat chicken. That's what I understand.
But very, very cool. Congratulations. So you're in our neck of the woods for a few days here in North America. Very nice.
Yeah. And indeed, we get to eat a lot of food, and the portions are bigger.
Yeah, I've seen the people from Indiana. Only one person can fit in a car, so that's the way it works. So it's one of those things.
Yeah,
and of course you're a lucky man. Huh? You've got your U.S. passport. You just wave it around and wander in.
Oh my God!
They didn't ask you, what are you doing? Why have you come back here? Or
they do
tax money.
They do indeed. I will say that waving around a U.S. passport and looking like I do is a good old chance to check your privilege.
Many people. And how was your privilege?
Pretty good. I mean, they gave me, I basically said, I put down my U.S. passport at the immigration stand, and I said, "I'm back."
Right.
They said,
"Oh, good start, good,
yeah,
good start."
The guy next to me, from Kenya, maybe not so.
He's still there, I take it.
I was going to say he's still there 3 weeks later, answering a bunch of questions that he has no clue.
Check your privilege, folks. Yes.
Yeah.
That's good to be. See, that's and the nice thing is when you come into customs in America, because they have that line for U.S. citizens, and you go and you give it. Unless you're flagged, they don't care. Like, we used to come back and forth from Monaco, and you have to fly through Switzerland. So, right, when we used to come through Miami, they would be like, they could care less. They would just be like, great, go get your bag x-rayed. We'd x-ray our bag. And they'd be like, we're good. And then when we would fly, we flew through Helsinki once to go somewhere, to Sweden, actually. And in Helsinki, the first question they ask you, which I was shocked at, was like, do you have any Krugerrands or any gold on you? And I'm thinking, whoa, this isn't 1939 Germany, people.
Yeah, what?
And the custom guy was like, no, he says, people smuggle gold. And as he's telling me that, the guy next to me is getting arrested because why? In his suitcase, he has like, we'll say $1 million worth of Krugerrands or whatever, gold coins, smuggling from, I guess, Helsinki to Russia. And I looked, I was like, I get it. I was like, feel free to ask whatever you'd like,
Whoa,
so I thought that was very interesting.
And they just know if the suitcase is like super heavy.
He looked, I think the fact that he had a T-shirt that said "I'm a smuggler" on it didn't help. But wear what you want.
Well,
but
I
we
have
used to fly back and forth
like that. It says "I'm a budgie smuggler." That's what I call on my T-shirt. But that's a whole nother show.
That's just so you know, Greg. I put up with this every day. Every show. This isn't like this is not. It's for you. It's once a month. For me, it's a daily. So. But
how was it when you came back to sunny Holland then?
Yes, did they treat you with respect?
Did you? Where have you been? Where have you been? And why did you have a U.S. passport?
Since I moved to the Netherlands, to take a job for one summer, that was 30 years ago, and I never managed to leave. So came for work, stayed for love, and that is how I ended up getting a Dutch passport. But also, I think if you're married, that gives you a special status, then you can keep both. Although it's still pretty controversial.
Yeah, it is controversial. Yeah, I can't keep mine, so I have to have a, and certainly after Brexit, of course, it's.
I've got British friends who live over here in the Netherlands. Is that the same category where you can no longer vote?
Yeah. I'm totally disenfranchised. The only thing I can't even.
Netherlands either. I
used to be able to vote for the water companies when they had the Graafschap vote.
Yes,
that's all gone now because there's none of that. And I think I could probably vote of which day I could take the Glico out, but that's about it. And what color I would like it to be. But other than that, nothing. Totally disenfranchised.
After all the fuss about what color your passports should be, now you get to vote about what color the garbage bins will be. That's it.
Yeah.
These Brits really care about what color their stuff is.
Yeah, the thing, no, I can't even vote in the UK because I've been gone longer than 10 years.
Exactly.
So they said, well, you don't like us anymore, so you can't vote. Which is a bit weird because if you think of all the people who are living abroad, the millions of us, we would not have voted for Brexit, of course, because turkeys don't vote for Christmas. But so, that would have been an overwhelming.
Unless you're a Republican in the United States, then you do.
Yeah. Okay. Voting against our best interest.
Yes.
That's not, theonion.com really summed it up best. What are Republican voters, thinking about in 2024? I'm being bankrupted by medical bills, so I'm going to say drag queens.
Yeah, right. The important thing. Yeah. No,
Well, anyway, are you ready for more good news?
Yes, more good news. Please.
Talking of drag queens, I was going to ask you how your tour was doing to get that in as well, because you're now about to go off on another big tour. Let's get a bit of promo in.
Sure. Yeah. So there are private events I'm hosting. Like waste management, fine. But I'm also doing a public tour, and that is Greg Shapiro Saves the Climate. It's just 60 minutes of climate good news, and then we can have this debate too, maybe with Stephen or David about, put a pin in that.
Right.
But how bad is it, and how worried should we be? And but I'll get back to that, because there's a friend of mine who works in finance in Phoenix, and he moved to Phoenix. He's like, isn't it very hot there? Aren't you worried? And
it's like 40 Celsius.
Yeah, right. If anybody,
it's 120 Fahrenheit for the people that can't do math.
Yeah. Well, anyway, sorry. More good news. Yes. I'm going to get to the mitigation part now.
Sure.
And that's just alternative energies. And again, this is a Dutch startup. It's called Kite Power.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like a windmill, from what I understand, but it displays the miracle of airborne energy. They started up in a farm in a field in the Netherlands called Kite Power. It's a startup in Dirksland, the western part, and it's basically like a container from a container ship. That size of like a block, and there's a special kind of kite that harnesses the wind, and it can generate apparently up to 450 megawatts per year.
Wow.
So again, it's not setting any records, but compared to wind turbines or the old-fashioned windmills, it converts the the mechanical energy directly into electricity, and it's pretty steady apparently as well. So they can put it in like remote locations as well that are hard to connect, and so on-site renewable energy. Oh, they've also tested it on wildlife as well. So apparently, kite wire.
Let's kill here. Tie this around the deer's antlers. Let it run. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Run, Bambi, run. There's we talked on the Lost Dollar Club a few weeks about a car that they're going to start coming out with that'll be powered by water.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we were very excited about that, and everybody's like, "Well, the ocean, then they can desalinate," and they're going through all this stuff. And then at the very end, I'm like, I don't want to be reading anything, but we're running out of water on the planet.
Well,
so it's
fresh water.
Right. So it's sort of like, unless you're planning on draining the ocean on a daily basis, or if you're really drunk, loading your car up with liquid. I don't see how this is. It's a great idea. I'm like, why can't we just use something free? Like, I don't know, maybe solar. Yeah, and it's like solar would be great, because as far as I know, the sun is still up there, even though some big piece of it tore off itself last week, and it's going to kill us all apparently. But I'm like, I read that article and it goes 100,000 something of the sun tore itself off and now is circling. I'm like, what? Like the sun's falling apart. So we got to pay the maintenance on the sun. But if you have solar power cars,
you just got to wait, awesome. Because the Indians have just sent up a rocket towards the sun just to make sure it's still there. They did that last week.
I heard India landed a spacecraft on the moon.
On the north. I think it was the south pole of the moon.
Pole of the moon. Sorry.
And now the good news is when we colonize the moon, there's going to be a 7-Eleven. So we're very excited about that. So
Well, our Indian viewers were sorry for Stephen's remark.
Yes, they love me. They know. Here's what's scary, Greg. I will tell you something that's even scarier. Even with my making fun of everybody.
Yeah.
Our biggest audience, which shocked the hell out of me, 28% of our audience, where they're from? India. Yeah, 28% of our audience is from India.
They love the 11 jokes. Can't get enough.
What's even more shocking is that we have a lot of people from Russia who watch the show. Yeah. So whether or not they're looking for a little bit of light relief, I don't know, or some insanity, or some reasonably sane people in an insane world.
Speaking of putting liquid into your fuel tank, though, ammonia is apparently, if you can run a car on ammonia, I guess if you pee in your fuel tank enough, I don't know.
That's just, I don't know, but they're coming up with all this stuff. Even I read this article a couple of weeks ago about the electric cars, and I think they're wonderful. Even though they don't make noise, and they go, that's awesome. But the thing I read was, which I thought was interesting, if you start doing the math,
sure,
it's more expensive to run your electric car than it is if you have to charge at a Tesla station, all this other stuff. It becomes more expensive if you calculate time and gas and blah 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 blah.
No,
So I thought that was
interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other part of that, which was interesting, China now is becoming the world leader in lithium. Like they're the world leader in solar and wind. Like they're like, because it's like, oh, there's something else we can go after. And I know in Bolivia they're trying to get the rights to the lithium. So
the Chinese are.
Yeah, the Chinese are they're everywhere. When we used to do business in South America, we'd run into them more than we ran into anybody else. But it's very interesting when you read about all this. I mean, great, something's going to save the planet, but it's sort of like, okay, now I've polluted the land by digging up the lithium. I have these car batteries. I know companies are trying to figure out what to do with them. So it's kind of almost like nuclear waste. Are you going to stick it in the side of the mountain for 500 years? I mean, like, let's think past yesterday.
Wow.
That would be awesome. You know, that's one like solar panels car.
There's not enough lithium, I think, to if everybody went electric, there's not enough lithium to do it. End of story.
Maybe. And I don't know.
And the thing, the really disturbing thing is here. You know, we've just had solar panels put on the roof here in the house. We got to have our gardens on the east.
Well done.
So thank you. But what's happening now is that the energy companies here are now saying, "Oh, I'm afraid you're producing too much electricity. You now have to pay us to put the electricity back into the system."
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, remember all those subsidies? Now they're penalties.
Yeah. I thought you were going to I thought you were going to tell me you were craving Chinese food more often now, but I don't know.
Well, the other alternative would be to get your own battery, to store.
Well, they call it a refrigerator or an ice box. And it stores your batteries.
Power. 3 batteries, and they most of them come from
are they
China.
Lithium ion? Do they have? And by the way, there's a huge.
They're about 3,000 euros each, and they'll only give you enough juice for a day and a half. So
depending on how much you use. But
but it's a storage problem. Huh? That's the thing. They can't store enough electricity.
I'm reading about how there are, teams of chemical engineers, at every university around the world trying to figure out, sodium ion batteries.
How to keep it. Yeah.
But and by the way, yes, they did find a huge discovery of lithium in France, I believe, the center of France, that could power all of the EVs in Europe for 50 years or something. So it's I think I read that. But anyway, if it's lithium or if it's something else, also hydrogen cars or hydrogen vehicles. They might not be cars, but hydrogen powered aircraft.
Trucks,
or,
maybe.
Trucks indeed. Road transport.
Saudi Arabia is getting very big into hydrogen.
There's also white hydrogen we haven't talked about enough, right?
White hydrogen, green hydrogen.
Yeah, there's
blue hydrogen, there's green hydrogen. Yeah. That's making hydrogen through electrolysis, which is basically taking water and you take the oxygen out, right? But and I think it used to be, we need fresh water to do that. Now it seems like they don't need fresh water, so instead of we're running out of water,
good, because that means we can open up some more data centers then if we don't need the fresh water.
Hopefully,
because they're only using 7 million gallons a day, 7 million liters a day to cool it. So I mean, hey. The glass of water, and that's the thing. Of course, people won't be stealing electricity anymore. They'll be stealing water from the data center.
That could be. But anyway, where was I getting to? The white hydrogen
hydrogen
deposits. I mean, they're talking about mining, like they would mine natural gas. Right. You can mine white hydrogen. There are deposits of it all over the place, and it's just it's the same. I think fossil fuel companies are now thinking like hydrogen, huh? Okay. Could we use the same technology we have, for
I don't think that's the issue, Greg. I think because we've discussed it a lot. I mean, I'm lucky to live with somebody who has a little bit more understanding about it than I do. But she was saying that the infrastructure as well. It's highly inflammable.
Oh yeah.
So you'd have to all the piping in the streets and going into people's houses will all have to be changed and adjusted.
I wouldn't expect you want to put white hydrogen into people's houses, but anyway, okay.
Yeah, because that's what people are talking about, But
really,
I think it's going to be Yeah,
think Hindenburg.
Power,
Just all you have to do when you talk about hydrogen is just think Hindenburg, whether it's a car, a truck, a plane, or whatever, until they can make it safe that if something hits it, bumps it, or gets into an accident, even a house. Every time I hear about hydrogen, like they have this hydrogen plane, they test it and it said, oh, it's great. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not so sure I'm one getting on a hydrogen plane.
Thank goodness people, the Hindenburg has such awareness, and the Led Zeppelin album cover. I mean, but again, in the same conversation, do you know it's also highly flammable? Jet fuel.
Oh,
Is kerosene. So, I mean, it's
50-50.
But just one last thing, Greg, because I'm talking about cars, a really good thing. You know that Lightyear had these issues and they nearly went bust. Because they wanted like $250,000 or whatever it was for the Lightyear car. There's a Lightyear 2 coming out, but one of the things that we've discussed it in the house here is why don't they just use the technology? And it would now appear that they are going to diversify a little bit outside of the cars, and they're going to be producing these sunroofs for different models of cars. So they're going to pick that up and run with that. So
they'll be subcontractors, basically.
So I think that they're going to be doing that in Venray. So so it'll be.
Thank you.
Hopefully that will. That will take off because I mean, luxury. I mean, it'd have to be a luxury car, and it wouldn't be for we've got sun now, but like you say in Europe, North Europe, we haven't had any sun for 3 or 4 months.
Yes, the summer was pretty rainy.
Just so you know, sun is overrated. For you pale people. So you're fine. Don't even worry about it. So.
Well, you know what? Let's see. I was going to talk about Spire, which is coming from Tate Delft. But wait, now since you mentioned the cars, I'm going to try to find this other link because there's not just you mentioned Lightyear. That's a startup out of the Technical University of Eindhoven. They maybe gone bankrupt thanks to Dutch tax laws. They got to go bankrupt and then start up again a week later. All you have to do is change a couple of letters in your name or something. So
nice.
Long live Lightyear. But now they might be subcontractors as well. That could be good. Anyway, so
technology is really interesting. It's
an electrical. It's an EV that's powered partly by solar panels.
On the roof.
Yeah.
Integrated into the structure of the car, which you would have thought would be the most logical thing to do anyway. But
hence why I keep saying solar cars, because these EVs, like there's a super car called the Rimac that just came out. It goes like 400 miles on a charge. It goes 0 to 60 in stupid seconds, and it's a supercar that's just fully electric. It's beautiful. It's $2 million, and I'm like, for $2 million, I could buy a couple of real supercars that have V12s, and, naturally aspirated. So I hear boom, boom. And then I could buy, like, I don't know, a Lucid. I hate Tesla. So Tesla we're never buying. But I could buy that.
If you're going to subsidize Elon Musk, maybe, and Skynet.
Yeah, right. So, but I'm just saying, so you could do so much more. And it really is becoming like, we're becoming so technologically advanced so quick. It's just, I don't think they know what to put out. And I'm just hoping that they test things better when they put it out. It's sort of like our car drives itself as it wipes out 17 people and crashes into a building. I'm like, maybe not so much. So it's like even with these planes and whatnot, I just wanted to like test it and I'll try it.
What I find interesting about self-driving cars is that that it gives you this. They can't train the AI enough to make good moral decisions. So do we wipe out, we're going to crash. So do we wipe out Granny? Do we wipe out Granny, or do we wipe out, the young mum with the child in the buggy? Make your decision because we're going to crash anyway.
Oh man, yeah.
That's a tough decision.
It's right.
Now, first of all, is the mommy a hot mommy? Is like the mommy a MILF? Because if the mommy's a MILF, I'm just saying,
but it could be a hot granny.
Ooh, that's true. You don't see a lot of hot grannies lately, but
I think they are having self-driving cars though in San Francisco. There's taxis at least.
Taxis.
Yes.
And guess what? Now, they're a very popular spot for public sex.
Then we're getting. I'm getting a self-driving car.
Well,
I'm ordering one now.
Get yourself a hooker.
All
and,
right, so there's nobody to watch. There's nobody to watch. Just all the video cameras in the.
There is that, I suppose, but there's not.
That's awesome.
A robot.
So now, when people are having sex in the car, are they having it by themselves or with somebody? Do we ever clarify that? Or
I assumed it was with someone, but
that's probably how they're funding all the R&D, of course.
It says
this stuff's going straight up onto Pornhub.
Oh, that could be too. Just repurpose.
OnlyFans. It'll be only cars we're doing next then.
Nice. I like that.
But it's funny that you mentioned safety for planes and safety for self-driving cars as well. We keep. I mean, it's hard to compare, apples and oranges, whatever. We keep comparing it to zero. It has to be zero.
Right.
Whereas the question should be: is it safer than what we've got already?
Correct.
So, self-driving cars safer than human-driven cars. That seems like that should be a no-brainer. But as soon as that self-driving.
You would think it would be a no-brainer, right? And then all of a sudden, I heard the best self-driving, if you will, adaptive self-driving is the Cadillac Escalade from someone who actually knows cars. And when we look at all the cars on the planet, because of the Chevy buying Volt, when they had the Volt, right? So they said apparently the Cadillac Escalade has the best when it comes to, if you will, self-driving, self-aware, following, everything that does where your hands are off the wheel. Right now, Cadillac Escalade is the number one self-driving car on the planet. And that beats anything the Chinese have that they've come out with, anything that Musk has come out with. So they're all like, this is the number one thing, which I thought was fascinating. Now that was a couple months ago, so that might change in 2024. But as of right now, they said that. I thought that was very cool.
Okay.
So
do they have a granny count to go with all that as well? So what I'm going to do now.
Well, I think most of the people that buy Escalades are grannies, so I'm assuming it has a granny cam. So
that could be.
So but no, it's safe. It's supposed to be very safe, very this. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm not
very safe if you're not walking down on a sidewalk when it's coming towards you.
Right, but I'm not a fan of the Escalade to begin with, or Cadillac or General Motors. But I was happy to hear at least somebody out there is a little farther ahead of all these other companies that say, look how safe we are. Meanwhile, they're ramming into walls and doing this and running down people. So, it's a little different. So I was happy to hear that somebody out there.
Vehicle? In an Escalade, you could hit a lot of stuff and probably do not so much damage to the.
Well, see, and that's the other reason. If I'm going to get a self-driving car, a tank is good. Because if I hit something, I just keep going. I'm like, I don't know. It's big. I didn't feel it. And a little Tesla, you hit something. It's like you break the Tesla, you break everything else. And then the batteries, you got special stuff to put batteries out if they get into a car accident. I mean, there's a lot of work here. Like in the good old days, your car got on fire. The company came. They put it out with a hose and you're done. Now, if an electric car gets on fire, it's like they have to call special hazard out. This, that. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So.
Greg, you were down south in France.
Oh, that's true.
Down south. I thought I'd get down south.
Sure.
Yeah. But what do you think? What do you think about the Paris government, local government banning all the e-scooters?
Oh,
do you think that's a way? Do you think it's a way forward, or are they just being a bit of a pain in the ass?
They haven't banned them yet. We did pass through Paris at the end of August, and but apparently, a ban on the shared Lime scooters and those kinds of things. I think there's still, you can own one. You can own an electric.
It's the shared ones that they.
I believe, it's the ones that kept sort of piling up. On different corners and blocking sidewalks for people with, small children or handicapped disabilities. I think
these small children. Yeah, we have that here in America. They have it in New York too, where we have the little scooters here in Austin. The people are zipping, and then you'll go somewhere and there's 7,000 of them, like all with the red light on because the guy with the truck hasn't come to pick them up.
Right.
And it's like, I always laugh. I'm like, what do these people have they have a collection of, like, I got 27 green scooters in front of my house. I'm like, dude, and once again, I don't think people want to work, so they don't have enough people to pick up the scooters, charge the
Maybe.
scooter, drop off the scooter. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there was someone I knew in New York. He said, I tried to rent a bike and a scooter, and he says, the app wouldn't work. And I like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, it's great we have this technology, but if you think about what it all hinges on, it hinges on my phone being able to take a picture of a QR code, if you will, to say, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
But you know how people are. They pick, they play, they do, they vandalize, and it doesn't work. And then everyone's like, well, I don't know why.
It's a bit of a flawed business plan, really. And it's as if nobody thought, oh, everybody's going to want to rent it. That's great. So you can see all that money coming in the front door, and all the money's bleeding out of the back door because people just say, chuck it on the side, chuck it there. I mean, we find them all over the place here as well, where I am, scooters and everything. And somebody has to pick up that tab. So
oddly, in Amsterdam, the rental scooters, or the scooters, the e-scooters did not take off, I guess. And that's,
you're into fat bikes instead, huh? Which is
fat bikes. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but someone told me that the reason the electric scooters did not take off in Amsterdam was, first of all, because of the cobblestones, and second of all, because of the canals. When your scooter runs out of juice, people just toss it in the drink.
Right, especially if it's not yours.
Pick them up.
Right, but if it's not yours and you didn't spend $2,000 on it, you don't care. That's what I notice when these people are like zipping by us, like we'll be driving and I see the scooters and they're like, they'll run the lights, they'll do this, they'll do that. I'm thinking to myself, you really must, I'm thinking, oh, that's right. You don't care because you just say, I bought the insurance on the scooter for the extra $2. And who cares if I ran it into whatever I run it into. So it's a very interesting thing when property's not yours.
It's a good example, actually, of the downsides of all of this innovation, and so David, you were talking earlier about having solar panels, good for me, and now somehow you might end up having to pay more for having those. And I mentioned my friend in Phoenix who works at he used to work for GM Capital, I think, or a GE Capital or Chase Bank, anyway, something like that. But he is studying the economics of the green transition or whatever, and he's now pointing out things like the wildfires in Europe. Of course, these Greek wildfires, they're terrible. But what you missed is that the total amount of wildfires in 2023 is actually less than in 2022.
Yeah.
Cool.
I lived in Greece for a year on an island called Chios, and there were always fires.
Really?
Most of them were started by property developers who couldn't get the permission because there were still trees.
Yeah,
It cost money, etc., and all of a sudden they'd all burned down. And it's the same. Same in Portugal this year as well. People are setting in Greece as well. Crete. A lot of these people were quotas setting fire to them for different reasons. Pyromaniacs and megalomaniacs, I think.
He didn't get into the economics of how do we, make a disincentive for property developers. But anyway, his bigger point was that, and this is, I think, echoed from another couple of articles I've seen. Is it, as imminent, as urgent, is climate change as imminent and bad as we are, led to believe by all the headlines? And there is apparently an argument, to be made for how, I don't know, the average temperatures might be going up, but that's also partly because of the extremes. Meanwhile, many places on the planet, Northern Europe, very wet this summer. Where I was in the south of France, center of France, was actually rather temperate. So we're not even as warm as last year. So there are many places, hopefully, that will remain okay, even if the extremes are getting more extreme. So anyway, then I guess the metaphor I was thinking of was, okay, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, but what if there's going to be a fire and people are already leaving because they're afraid there might be a fire? Then who does it serve to stand up and say, no, the fire's not here yet? There's no fire. We're fine. it seems like if people are already motivated.
Mr. Biden, what did he say when he was in Florida? Only stupid people would believe that there's not a climate issue.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I thought he said, where am I? But it could be. But the other question I think you have to say, can you yell movie in a crowded firehouse? I think that's something we have to ponder. But they've been saying, there you go. But they've been saying since the 60s, this is all going to happen. And temperatures are rising. Yes. Hurricanes are getting worse. Yes. Part of it, I'm assuming we contribute. Part of it's just Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And I think you do have to say, hey, listen, and it may not happen. And that's the part of the issue, right? It may not happen in our lifetime. It may not happen in our kids' lifetime or their kids. But 200 years from now, if we don't take care of it, it will. So for them to start yelling now, if you will, fire in the movie house, I'm okay with that. Because it's going, you know how humans are. We're stupid. It's going to take them 100 years to do something. So so that it's like same with the electric car. They'll have to come up with something better. So by the time they come up with something better, they'll save the planet. If they don't say anything until say 2200, right? 175 years from today, the planet then implodes. So let them cry wolf for a while, but then at some point someone's going, "Ooh, look how smart they were." So I can see the arguments, but if we really know it is doing something, and the ice caps, which is true, right? You have ice caps melting, oceans are rising, so there's things happening. So yes, let's get people to start doing things to like prevent it getting worse. I'm all for it.
And trying a bunch of stuff, and there will be drawbacks to electric scooters.
Build more dikes.
Panels on your roof.
I love dikes. They're the best.
Or dikes,
build more dikes.
Build more dikes, indeed.
But on a serious point, Greg, if you're doing all this green comedy, then do you get any blowback? Do you get any blowback from that?
I think I'm starting to get some. Really? And indeed, climate deniers online or whatever. And to them, I just like to say, let's not debate whose fault it is. But if we have the technology to control the thermostat for the planet, then we can debate about, do you want it hotter or do you want it colder?
That's true.
And of course, for all those people who have been trolling you on social media, just look forward to the day where you can piss in their tank, of course, because it'll be of value to them.
You'll fill up wait a minute, you're going to be filling up their car if we're going to go into the water. So let's not fill their car for free. So and with that, if there's nothing that's going to top that, gentlemen, it was a wonderful show. Mr. Greg, we will see you next month. David,
super.
Take us home. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and we'll put all Greg's details below. Catch him on his tour. He's going to Nazi land and friendly Nazi land, Germany and Switzerland. Stop it. Okay, no, I'm not joking.
Gold all the way out.
That's right.
He's gonna ask for all that gold back again when he goes. You see that?
I like that. And don't forget to subscribe and like. You can catch Greg on Instagram and YouTube and everything, and we'll have all his links below as we always do. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful month. We'll see you guys next month. Cheers, David.
And he might even bring back some Swiss chocolate. Who knows?